Welcome back, baseball fans. We're here today previewing this upcoming 7A regional final matchup between Douglas and West Broward. We have with us Douglas manager Todd Fitz-Gerald. Coach, welcome in.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So let's get started with last week. You guys had a pretty easy time with Taravella in your two games. Talk about how your team performed last week.
Yeah, I just thought they did a really good job preparing for Taravella last week. We had kind of been a little bit of an offensive juggernaut for the last few weeks and haven't really put things together, as well as I thought that we should. And over the course of those two games against Taravella was a really, really good offensive production all the way, top to bottom, executing, some of the things that we like to do. And thought the kids did a really nice job. I mean, we scored 22 runs in two games, and
Yep.
I think we pounded out like 20 something hits. So it was good to see those guys kind of get back on track and, really good for their confidence moving into this one. And this one you shouldn't have any motivation for, you're one step away from going to the dance. So
Talk a little bit about the this is an interesting team you have because this was a team, you lost a lot of your guys and you've always had a lot of, older leadership the last few years. And you were plugging a lot of different guys in this year. But you get to the playoffs and you guys are, you've outscored your opponents 38-4 in your 6 games. So talk about how maybe you weren't expecting that and just how this team has come together and maybe it's been one of your cleanest runs so far through these playoffs.
Well, I think it really has a lot to say about how we can develop our players, right? Like you said, I mean, we plugged some guys in here and some guys there. We had some guys that had experience, and then we had quite a few that didn't have the experience. And I'm as surprised as anyone that where we're at right now as far as our record goes and all that. But I'm really happy for the guys in the way that they've come together and have embraced the opportunity. And I try not to let them get too comfortable. And I just want them to keep their eye on the prize because it is a different team, and there's some guys here with experience, but there's also a lot of guys that don't have that big playoff experience. And the way it's going right now, it's just kind of carrying over. Our leaders have been really good. Our pitching's been outstanding. So, I kind of like where we're at right now. I like the way that they're going about their business. They're loose, they're having fun. It's a different group. Trust me, they like that, they're just not the typical, where you gotta they're just total professionals. They like to cut up a little bit. So just kind of keep them focused and directed on the goal at hand has been good, and they've accepted it.
Talk a little bit more about that makeup because you get programs like yours. We've seen like McCarthy had, and the expectation of these players is for them just to step in and be next man up. But you have to have a certain mentality that goes along with that that sometimes you don't get and you don't know until you actually put them on the field whether that's all going to gel. So how nice was it to see these guys that you were plugging in be able to perform to that level of expectation because you don't always get that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think it's been really good. I think that one of the main things is that each team that comes through here, each senior class that comes through here, they want to be as good or if not better than the previous class, and they want to leave their legacy that, they were one of the best too. So I think that kind of drives them as well to want to do that. And they don't want to let down, they don't want to be that team that didn't get there, or they don't want to be those guys that, oh man, we just fell short. Maybe we could have, I just told them, you don't want to look back and say, what could I have done differently? And as long as you leave it all out on the field and you give 100%, whatever happens happens. That's baseball. But as long as you don't have any regrets when you leave the field after that last game, then, you can feel good about the way your season went. Because at the end of the day, Anthony, you know as well as I do, there's only one champion, and we have been on the top for a long time. Um, and to be able to sustain that's been pretty remarkable. There is going to come a time though, and it doesn't mean that you've had a failure as a season. You know, I mean, hell, we still won 29 games. You know, out of 31. Like we won our district again for the 14th straight time. So we've done a lot of things, but these guys aren't finished, and they want to go out on top. And I know they're hungry and they're excited to get after it tomorrow at practice.
Sure. So you got West Broward coming in.
Yep.
It, the last few years of this run, I mean, you guys have had their number. You know, there's no sugarcoating the fact that you've kept them from scoring runs. You've scored a lot of runs. You've dominated the games head to head over the last few years. They have given you a couple games that were tight, but how do you keep from that complacency with these guys? I know you said, there's self motivation, but they seem to be playing better ball down the stretch than they've played in a lot of those games. So, what are you expecting with them coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I went and saw him play Columbus yesterday, and it's Howie and those guys and Eddie and Ducasi over there and Aguila. They do a good job with those kids, man. Those kids are well coached. They play hard. Um, I think they're healthy. They've got some guys back that were banged up a little bit. They don't strike out much. They love, they run the bases. They're aggressive on the base pass. And if you make a mistake defensively, they usually make you pay for it. So they're kind of a mirror image of us a little bit. I think they're catching guys really good, Manny. The top of the order is good. You got some speed at the top, some speed at the bottom, and they're just a well-coached team. They're going to be ready, obviously. And I'm pretty close with Howie and those guys too. Their kids play for me in the summer as well. So, the good thing is, no matter what happens, we're going to have a Broward County representative at the state Final Four. So, if it's us, great. And if it's not, then I'll be pulling for those guys. But they got to come to our place, and I like our chances there. Obviously being in the comfort of your own home. So they still gotta come to our place, and they gotta do what every team's tried to do, and that's to knock us off. And I expect a dogfight, and I expect a good series, and hopefully we come out on top.
You guys haven't been challenged enough to get to a third game yet, but everything about this 2 out of 3, that we've seen across the state is that it definitely favors the higher seeded teams. Let's say it that way, because you're seeing a lot of these higher seeded teams, even when they drop a game or two. How nice is it from your end to know that you have the arms and your team is set up, even though you haven't experienced it yet, but you're perfectly set up for a 3 game series?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really good. I think it's beneficial. I mean, we have some depth on the mound. We've been lucky enough to get really good starting pitching each game. So, I haven't really had to worry too much about, looking into a third game. Like, I mean, we have a goal, and we want to throw our best guy game one. We're going to throw our next best game two, our next best game three if we have to do it. So we have a plan on what we're going to do. I'm sure Howard has a plan on what they're going to do, and yeah, it should be a really good a competitive game.
And you don't want to get too far in advance because, like you said, it could be either team that comes out of this region. But when
Right.
you look at the other 3 regions that are left in this 7A and the teams that are left, this shapes up to be one of your toughest runs if it should be you. You got Venice sitting there, you got Spruce Creek and Maddie Cleveland over there, and they're playing, good matchups. And then you got Jupiter and Park Vista. So how exciting is it to know that the baseball, that no matter which of you guys come out, that Final Four looks like it's going to be a doozy of a battle.
Well, I think every year, man, that the top four teams that go to the state tournament, it's always a tough battle. I mean, 2016 there was West Orange and Columbus. 2021 it was, whoever it was, I can't remember that far back. But then, I've had Spruce Creek a couple times. Haggerty's in there. Windermere's been in there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whoever gets to the Final Four, it's still going to be tough. Craig Faulkner of Venice does a great job over there. Matt obviously and Mike Sandone there, and then Park Vista and Joey and those guys over in Jupiter. So they probably we'll just see what happens. Again, like I said, I like our chances. I like Broward County's chances. So I know that whoever goes, we're going to put our best foot forward and go try and represent the county again.
All right, Coach. Well, I'm looking forward to the matchup this week, and I wish you good luck. It's always great talking to you.
Yep. Thanks, Anthony. You too.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. See you.